These onions have experienced quite a journey so far. Once they're stocked in the produce aisle at the grocery store, they're one step closer to your plate.
Now, to maintain our business with our retailers and our food service, we have to have every color and every size every day. So to do that, we plant about 24 different varieties of onions here. A lot of them are New Mexico State varieties. Some of them are hybrids, some of them are commercial from the commercial seed breeders. We distribute to all the retailers, food service, and big box stores, all the way down to, you know, the small guy that's on the produce market, all the way from the northeast to the southeast.
For the fresh market, which is mainly what we do, is we'll have the Starlight, which is the white, and we'll have Sundial, the yellows. The best seller in the United States is the yellow. Whites have a small demand, the reds even smaller. So we try to go maybe 80% yellows, maybe 15% whites, and we might do about 5% of reds. I'm servicing about 4 farmers markets right now in the area. Our market is a fresh market, so we have to go with what's going to sell more.
Onions can be found on nearly every restaurant menu. From onion rings to grilled onions on a burger, it's an ingredient that chefs depend on to complete a meal.
There's so many things you can do with onion, which is why as a chef I love working with it, because it goes great in salsas. It just goes good with anything, pretty much. It's a fresh salad. It's actually pineapple and Vidalia onion is our star in this dish. And we put 1 slice of pineapple, 1 slice of onion, 1 slice of pineapple, 1 slice of onion, like a tower. And then it gets a quarter cup of gorgonzola cheese on top, an ounce of our raspberry vinaigrette, a sprig of mint leaf.
So I was making onion rings just with a beer batter, and it's pretty simple to make a beer batter. A very basic recipe is equal parts beer and flour. Cup of flour, cup of beer. You want to use not a dark beer, just a light beer or any non-dark beer. And you whisk it together. You can add some other flavors and spices to it. I put a little cumin and cayenne pepper in mine. And then basically dip them, get your oil to the right temperature, which is 350 for frying, and then just fry your rings. Slice the rings, cut them and, you know, separate them, dip them, let them drain a little bit, and then fry them. So you almost don't need anything on them.
The Moroccan cuisine, the way we cook the onion, we cook it in so many different ways. But for today, what we did is we caramelized it pretty much. So we took onions and we'll mix it with some nutmeg, some cinnamon, tiny bit of salt, sugar, and we throw raisin in there. Then it came out really thick and nice and just beautiful. Looks good, tastes good, it's awesome. So that's how we cook the onions today.
It's something that happens all the time. You cut an onion and your eyes start to water. You may have even tried some home remedies to help prevent it. But why does an onion make you cry?
When you first cut an onion, there's many chemical precursors in the onion that as soon as they're exposed to oxygen in the environment, they start reacting and they form these sulfur-containing chemicals that are very abrasive to mucous membranes, your eyes. And so once those are developed, they will get into your eyes, they'll cause you to cry. How do you avoid it? Well, one, you can use low pungency or sweet onions. If you like the flavor of onions though and still want to cut them, really the best way is to keep them away from your eyes. You can chop them under running water or underneath water, or just keep them away from your face as much as you possibly can.
I used to work at a restaurant, and one of the first things the cooks told me is the second you start tearing up, get in and walk into the walk-in freezer. And the cold cleared you right up, took care of all of that. And it works because in the cold, those sulfenic gases condense.
And there's been a group of researchers in Japan that have done some work to try and inactivate the gene that causes the substance that makes you cry. And they've been successful at doing that. But that gene is linked to other genes that give the onion its characteristic flavor to it. And so when you inactivate this one gene, it will cause the onion really not to taste like an onion anymore. But really, you know, being able to cry from onions, that's what onions are about, right? If you take that away, what do you have left? You know, onions are mostly water, you just have a round ball of water after that. So you take away the characteristics that make an onion, and then you don't have a whole lot left. So I mean, sometimes I will refrigerate them, that kind of makes it, but usually you don't spend a whole lot of time cutting them, or you just deal with it. It just makes you tear, and you know that's going to happen.
Onions are good and they're nutritious. An onion a day just might keep the doctor away.
Well, onions, in spite of all the flavor that they bring into our diet, they're very low in calories, only about 30 calories in a half cup serving. They're a great source of dietary fiber. They're a good source of vitamin C as well as vitamin B6. Onions are one of the few items that we eat that contain quercetin. Quercetin is a flavonoid, and flavonoids are a type of antioxidant. When you consume this quercetin, it gives protective effects in your body. It's great at preventing cataracts, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. You can also find it in tea and apples. However, studies show that the quercetin that's absorbed from eating onions is much more readily taken up by the body. And quercetin is actually the same compound that gives onions their yellow hue. Purple onions have quercetin also, but you don't see it because it's masked by the purple pigments that are in the red onions. Onion pungency comes from phytochemicals that contain sulfur. These chemicals actually don't start forming until you cut the onion and the onion's exposed to oxygen. So once you cut them very quickly, these phytochemicals will form. And the more pungent the onion is, the more of these phytochemicals that are available and the more healthy it is to eat. So technically eating a more pungent onion is more healthy. However, you can't go wrong eating a delicious sweet onion either. We believe that onions are going to be considered one of the superfoods as far as contributing nutrition to the human diet.
Onions are a unique vegetable. They can be used in an endless variety of dishes, but however you prepare them, they're guaranteed to pack a lot of flavor.
The strangest thing I tasted was an onion chocolate cheesecake. Onions have a lot of natural sugar in them, so when you cook an onion slowly, it actually becomes sweet. Later this afternoon, I'm doing a cooking class, and the dessert is going to be an onion ice cream, where we're going to cook the onions down and then caramelize them and then turn them into ice cream.
Definitely I like to cook with onion. We put it in pizzas, you got fajitas, stir fries. I mean, it goes very well with everything. I mean, you can eat them by themselves, even caramelized onions. I know people that eat them with just lime and salt.
Onions are my favorite. The flavor is unbelievable. I'm not a raw onion guy, but the flavor is immaculate. Onions, I mean, they're old school. We're from the valley, so onions, enchiladas, tacos, hamburgers, I mean, that's what we use them every day for. So I use them every day in my sandwiches too, so.
You don't like
I don't like onions too much. I like onion rings though. I'll eat onion rings. They're good.
And I cook mainly everything with onions.
The hamburgers, onion soup is one of my favorites.
Oh, I love onions.
I love onion rings. It's such a decadent treat for me at these days, but a nice freshly fried onion ring is great.
I would say I probably eat onions on average at least 2 times a day in a meal, if not as a snack. Whenever we're harvesting and I'm in a good field of sweet onions, typically you'll see me walk out and I'll start slicing onions and I'll eat as I go.
And the best onion in the world? Corsia sweet.
The produce industry is multi-layered, just like an onion. So the next time you bite into that onion ring, just for a moment, consider where it came from.
We've been in onion production for 25 years probably, and it takes quite a while to learn how an onion grows and the right way to grow it. I think it takes a long time to figure it out and how to harvest it.
As a plant breeder, we often like challenges, and onions are a challenging crop to work with. There are some genetic characteristics of onions that make them difficult to work with. On a molecular level, they haven't been worked with very much because they have a lot of DNA in each of their cells. Actually, they have about 100 times more DNA than you and I have in our cells. And so we don't know a whole lot about them on a molecular level. It's going to be a long time before we sequence the onion genome, I can tell you that.
We take great pride in the fact that we've done everything for this crop that needs to be done, from fertilizer to water to various pest control programs that we go through. We feel like we we ship a superior product because of that. This is a family business. I'm the 4th generation. I'm raising the 5th generation here with me. You know, and we take great pride in that fact. Even down to my 6-year-old is proud of the fact of what we do and the onions that we produce.
We've been blessed in that we've been provided by the ones that came before us to be able to go into this field and make a living by working with the soil. And we're passing that blessing on to the next generation. So I feel a great responsibility in that, and I think most farmers do. And it's all about us working together to find a better way of doing things. And I think we do that more than we're given credit for.
From the seed to a field, the store, and to your plate, the onion is an important layer in agriculture and the culinary world.
Field Trip was made possible by the Cooperative Extension Service at New Mexico State University and by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. If you would like to purchase a copy of this program, please visit krwg.org.